Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you're well. Last night, I did a live stream on the channel, and it was this. It was in the wake of the big news that has come out about what exactly Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, actually knew about what's going on with the gangs right under his nose. And this was the crux of what was blown out of the water, really, by the Daily Express. And there's been a few newspaper articles regarding this. And I think it warrants further discussion with some of the things that have come out today. Now, I later converted this to a standard video where I removed all of the comment readbacks out of it. That's the thumbnail there. So you can go and look at that at your leisure. Now, one thing that's very clear, this has been going on for absolute decades. Decades and decades and decades. It's been allowed to fester through our country under the noses of authorities, public figures, those in positions that could stop all of this from going on. And the number of people that have suffered as a result of this are in the countless thousands. You know, never mind everything that's coming out, the countless thousands. I think there's a very good explanation by Susan Hall, and I want to play this right now just to get some impact of what's going on from the London point of view.
Many of you, like me, will not understand why Sadiq Khan, when I asked him if we had grooming gangs or rape gangs in London, why he didn't just answer, it's something we're worried about, we're looking into, or yes, we do, it's being investigated. He didn't say no, he just pretended he didn't know what a grooming gang was. The question I cannot understand is, why is there a reluctance for people to admit that these gangs exist? Why does there appear to be a cover-up? Because if you talk to those victims, as I have, because so many have contacted me, for which I'm really grateful, when you listen to their stories, you would literally cry. Because these are vulnerable girls, and it does happen to boys as well. What sort of a society are we that we can't look after the most vulnerable? It's shocking, it really is. And Sadiq Khan has shown his true colours. Every time I've asked him, you have seen what he's done. He's tried to pretend he doesn't know. He's just worked the clock down so that I don't have any more time to ask questions. I'm sorry, that's not good enough. It doesn't matter about me, but it's not good enough for those poor victims. We must start worrying about them, and we must start making sure that we look to what has happened and start to ensure that it doesn't continue to happen. This is just shocking, genuinely. It's beyond shocking.
Yeah, it is beyond shocking. It's an utter disgrace, and you look at how those in power, those in positions of authority carry on with regard to this situation. And it's yet another example where the law of the land, and that's all I care about, England and the rule of law, has been allowed to be subverted, ignored, and outright destroyed. And then you get this situation where this has been allowed to perpetrate for, well, decades at least. Now, I've been contacted by someone as well. There's someone with close links to this channel. Her daughter is a victim of all of this, and she had to move overseas. Yeah, that's right. And she was even thinking of coming back to this country. And now all this has come out. She's beyond furious. And that's changed her mind. She even mentioned England. You know, moving back to England, obviously near her family. And again, I'm not going to say where that is for obvious reasons, but this has all changed her mind. There is no faith that the state, there's no faith that the system is going to do anything to correct this anytime soon. And those that may or may not have allegedly known something somewhere need to be held to account. There's no other way of putting it. And as as we discussed in the live last night, this is tantamount to torture. Mental, physical, combination of the both. It really is disgraceful. Have a listen to what Maggie Oliver has to say about Sadiq Khan.
I mean, I find him typical, the latest in a long line of public servants who will lie through their teeth and cover up the truth in order to protect the organisation. I've got the greatest respect for Susan, who would not let Sadiq Khan off the hook, and then to Zach and Callum, who went out and did a deep dive into what, let me make it clear, they have only been able to look at what is already in the public arena. But even with looking at that, it's very clear that Sadiq Khan was using smoke and mirrors to conceal what he must know is really going on in London. And this is just the latest in a long line, Mike, of different towns and cities where the authorities have tried to conceal the truth until it was very clear that it was going to be impossible to cover it up any longer. I think what's also interesting in this is that it was only after Zach and Callum gave Sadiq Khan and the Met, actually, a right of reply that they finally acknowledged that there is a problem. And that was 24 hours after the deadline for their right to reply. So my involvement in this was looking at the cases that Zach and Callum had uncovered and looking at them with my experience and assessing whether I felt that they are a similar pattern that we've seen in Rochdale, in Rotherham, in Telford, in Huddersfield, Keighley. And in my opinion, several of those cases absolutely were.
Yeah.
So from that, it's more than obvious that people in positions of authority knew a damn sight more than they were letting on. And you get the thing, oh, London is safe. There's nothing wrong with London. Let's go to London. All good. I saw a great interview with a retired police officer the other day of the generation that gave a shit and actually upheld the law. And when they said what the situation was then compared with what it is now, it explains a heck of a lot. I've seen some Art Rowley's name bandied around the internet today as well in connection with should he resign also? Another figure in a position of authority. Complete and utter failure. Jess Phillips is another one that keeps getting a lot of stick because of the position that she's in. Have a listen to this.
Minister. Can I just be completely clear? I'm suggesting that I will listen completely and utterly to the feedback from the victims that were and still are on. That they are not spreading misinformation at all. But his interpretation is a brilliant case in point, because I will be completely honest. The conversation with Oldham is, do we not think it might be better for them just to take part in a statutory inquiry? That it is absolutely nothing to do with the idea that Oldham is telling me what to do. And the more people from that side, he can hold up his paper and have a smug face all he likes, but the fact of the matter is that there is absolutely no council in this country who will tell this inquiry where it can and cannot go. I have said that 1,000,000 times from this dispatch box, and yet the same thing gets peddled again and again.
Thank you, Mr.
The victims of these crimes were vulnerable children who were ignored and who were gaslit and who were dismissed. Two women have now resigned, two victims have now resigned because of this process and their lack of failure in the process. And yet what I hear from the Minister appears to me to be an aggressive and defensive tone. Yeah. Does she regret the fact? Is she going to listen? Well, is she going, remember these people are watching, is she going to listen to the victims? And does she regret that these two individuals have resigned from the process?
I absolutely regret that they have resigned from the process that, funnily enough,
so Jess Phillips there answering.
Yeah, Jess Phillips there answering what? The two individuals, they said, resigned from the process, basically walked away from the process because What's happening very much at a government level, this is being dragged out and out and out and out. All this was instigated months ago because of pressure to reveal, to uncover, to investigate, to deal with. And we're all these months later, and literally fuck all has happened. Excuse my language, but that's the size of it. And what you see there is a typical case of arguing semantics in the Commons, and it's not getting anyone anywhere. There's some very simple questions. Who suffered? Who did it? Where are they? Who are they? Who knew about it? Who allowed it? Who put a stop to it? Who tried to put a stop to it? Many others as well. And more importantly, how and when are they going to be held to account? And the how is important. The how is very important. Have a look at this here, and I played this last night. This is the Criminal Justice Act, 1988, Section 134, and it covers specifically torture in connection to public officials. You know, people in official capacities, that's MPs, councillors, mayors, police officers, you name it. Now, omission is a very important word there, omission. To leave out, to forget, to not mention. If you have a look down the bottom, which is very important as well, a person who commits to the offence shall be liable on conviction on indictment to imprisonment for life. Imprisonment for life. And you have to wonder why there's never been a conviction brought under Section 134 of the Criminal Justice Act. Well, I do. I'll tell you why very shortly. But what I want to show you next is how much denial Khan actually throws into the mix when he's confronted with this. Have a listen.
I asked you this question last week and you found every which way but not to answer it. Just how many grooming gangs have we got in London?
Avoiding a misunderstanding, can she define what she means by that?
Yes, if you look at what's gone on in Rotherham, where there are people taking young girls, grooming them for sex, that is what I'm talking about.
We know in London there are issues about exploitation of young people, but they're not as defined by the member in her definition of what those types of gangs are.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for what's a misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television. You know exactly what I mean by that. These gangs of people that are grooming young girls for sex. Do we actually have those in London?
Today, I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If she could spell it out, I can answer.
I've just spelt it out. Are you not listening? It's the sort of gangs that groom young girls at a young age for sex. Exactly how much clearer do you want me to be?
3 separate occasions. I got it. I'm just a working class geezer that drives a taxi. And that's the Mayor of London. He's not stupid any more than I am. 3 separate times. And you look at everything that's coming out in the press now. Omission, cover up, all of the things that are being said in the press right now. It's all in public domain, by the way. You can go and look it up anywhere. Disgusting, disgusting, disgusting. And probably, well, there's no probably about it. It's still going on to this day. Right now, as we speak, while I'm recording this. Now, I said earlier, there's a very specific part of the Criminal Justice Act that defines what you do with people who are mixed up in this sort of thing. So why hasn't anything been bought? This is a typical case of the establishment trying to protect itself, I would suggest. Have a look at this. This is Section 135 of the Criminal Justice Act. Section 135. And you can see proceedings for an offence under section 134 above shall not be begun in England and Wales except by or with the consent of the Attorney General, or in Northern Ireland except by or with the consent of the Advocate General for Northern Ireland. So it takes the consent of an individual, the Attorney General, before a conviction can be brought under section 134 of the Criminal Justice Act. That's why this is allowed to continue. That's why this happens, because no Attorney General that I know of has turned around and said, right, bosh. There is a case which I am aware of involving an incident, I think, in police custody, which falls under the scope of section 134. And the problem, occurred in this country where the Attorney General didn't go there. So what that case was relying on was something called universal jurisdiction. So what they can do is take the case to another country, in this case, the USA. Because if you have a look at the USA, part of the early constitution of the USA came from the English, namely the Bill of Rights and the Magna Carta. That was the basic foundation of the whole thing. So we share very much a lot of things in common with the USA. So I do wonder if these cases have similar issues. Could it be a case of universal jurisdiction, maybe? But somebody needs to be held to account, not only the perpetrators, those that knew and did nothing. It all needs to come crashing down. Rupert Lowe, bless him, is trying to make an effort to get this done. The government, absolutely hopeless, as per. Difficult subject to cover. I had an experience, we shall say, many years ago, which I'm not prepared to go into, but let's just say this and stories like it do tug at my heartstrings when I read them. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, give this a share. As always, I'll talk to you soon. Toodaloo.